So this is Steve, and I'm here with Geoff Paddock. Geoff, we appreciate your time today.
Nice to be with you, Steve. Thank you.
As usual, yeah. Uh, you're running for the 5th District City Council seat.
Yes.
The primary is on May the 3rd, and you're running on the Democratic side for the
Yes.
Democratic nomination. You have several opponents. First of all, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, background, and that sort of
Sure.
thing, for those who don't know you.
Right. I am a longtime resident of Fort Wayne all my life, I guess, and I went to school here and worked here and bought property here and tried to be active in the community for all of my adult life. Of course, for the past almost 2 decades, I've spent my heart and soul on trying to develop what is now the Headwaters Park project. For 18 years, I've been the executive director and worked with a lot of folks like John Schoaf and Ian Rowland and others to design, raise money, and build the Headwaters Park project. We continue to make improvements on that, but it is a flood control component. It's a city park. It's a downtown destination that was built largely with private dollars that we raised in the 1990s. I also served a term 4 years on the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board, and one of those years as board president, so I feel very strongly about the quality of our public education system, particularly here in Fort Wayne, and tried to participate in that. I've been active in a number of organizations. One is near and dear to my heart is the passenger rail movement to try to bring Amtrak back into Fort Wayne as another leg of transportation and something that we believe would add jobs and economic development activity to the city of Fort Wayne. So I've tried for years, been on the board of Science Central, the History Center, the Lincoln Museum, tried to work on the Friends of the Park and other activities to improve the quality of life. I'm active in my neighborhood association, Wildwood Park, and I'm active in my church, First Presbyterian Church, here in Fort Wayne, and also in the Indiana University Alumni Association and other activities. So I've tried to give some time back to the community. And of course, I'm seeking the position of City Council because I believe strongly in public service and giving some time back to the community. And I'd like to serve in that capacity over the next 4 years.
Geoff, tell me about why you want to run for City Council.
Well, Steve, I feel very strongly about public service. I did serve a term on the Fort Wayne Community Schools Board and feel very strongly about public education and keeping our buildings strong to help improve and secure our neighborhoods. I also feel that the city is in need of representation to work on a number of issues ahead, and that's building the community, continuing to build on what Mayor Henry has done over the past 4 years, continue to improve our neighborhoods and work on abandoned homes and those that might become abandoned with public-private partnerships. I want to work on job creation. In the 5th District, there's a coalition growing of neighborhood people, public sector folks, private sector folks that want to improve our corridors like Broadway and Fairfield and Harrison, Calhoun and Clinton Streets that lead from downtown into the south part of Fort Wayne. We work together, we can make improvements to homes and businesses and a partnership that can, I think, create jobs and economic activity. I want to be a voice for citizens. I think each district representative, each district councilman spends more time within their district trying to solve the problems, the trash not being picked up, the weeds not being cut, the cars that are abandoned, the noise that's too loud next door. But I also want to make sure that we have strong representation for neighborhoods at the city council table. If I'm successful, I think I'm following somebody, namely Tim Pape, who did a very good job that way and is very highly regarded out there in the community. I know that because I'm knocking on a lot of doors out there and I hear good things about him. But we need somebody to replace him that's going to be active, that's going to be assertive, that's going to be a fighter for the 5th District and make sure that the concerns of the citizens are brought to city government, not just once a week during the council meeting, but every day. And I intend to work every day to make sure that folks are represented.
Are there issues specific to the 5th District that you would like to work on?
Well, I think certainly the corridor issue. Each district probably has a little bit of that, but particularly germane to the 5th District, I've attended some neighborhood meetings where we want to continue efforts working with the private sector, working with government, working with neighborhood associations to see how collectively we can work to make improvements and give enticements, whether it's through tax credits or through infrastructure improvements, to businesses to improve what they have and perhaps add jobs. We think there are a number of opportunities. We talked with the Packard Area Planning Association recently, and they have a very ambitious plan to do some work. The Fairfield Association, the Rudisill Association, Oakdale, and many others are working on plans. So I think that's one thing that's specific. Secondly, as I walk the district, I do see that we are in need of making some rehabilitation to homes, making sure that we offer every incentive that we can to individuals, whether they're home builders or folks who can rehab homes or just couples that want to come in and buy a home and live in the district. One of the nice things that entices people, I think, in the 5th District is we have a lot of older, well-kept homes, a lot of historic neighborhoods. I happen to live in one. And as I go door to door, I find so many people who are very conscious about keeping their homes in good shape and want to see homes down the block that are being sold continue in that area, in that vein. I think that perhaps a couple blocks over, we see some homes that are in disrepair that are perhaps on the verge of becoming abandoned homes, and we want to make sure that we put every resource in to making sure that doesn't happen. Why? Because, well, if we demolish a home, there's no tax base there. An abandoned home can attract rodents and can attract crime. And while the government can't be the sole provider here, we can certainly work with the private sector, as I think we're doing now, to make those more appealing. I certainly want to be involved in that. I think another issue, of course, is crime. Crime is down in the 5th District right now. We want to make sure that the plan that the mayor and Chief York are working on continue to be implemented so we can see the police out on the streets and the streets with the officers and so on, which I think we're doing a good job. Making sure city services are offered. Each person is going to be, each district council member is going to be looking at how they can bring more resources in to provide city services. I certainly will be one of those. I think those are the main issues. As I talk with folks, Steve, I find that most people are pleased with the direction that Mayor Henry is taking the city and has over the last 3.5 years now, and that we want to continue on. We've been very fortunate that we haven't had to cut city services. We've been fortunate that we have a cash surplus. We haven't had to lay off workers. We've been fortunate that we've not had to raise taxes. We've been fortunate that we've been able to work on public-private partnerships where the government works with the private sector to create jobs, and I want to be a part of that as we move forward in the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned gateways. You have one of the probably better traveled or better known gateways in Jefferson that runs through the 5th District, straight downtown, straight to Parkview Field. How do you feel about the downtown and the direction that things are going?
Well, as you know, I've spent a lot of time in trying to improve the downtown with the Headwaters Park project, and it is ongoing. 30 acres of development that we've been working on for many years into a park and a festival center and an ice skating rink, and that does a lot of things. That's a prime example of what the government, the public sector, and the private sector can do together. I think Parkview Field we're seeing is very successful, and that's another example. It took a little bit of an effort, and part of that reason because of the economy that we've seen in the last couple of years, but I'm very pleased that that's moving along at the pace that it is. I think it's successful. I think, again, it shows what the public and private sectors can do together. There are other areas in the downtown, and we're particularly, of course, interested in what might happen just north of the river, just north of Headwaters Park. But wherever there's interest and a need and a desire from the private sector, I certainly want to come to the table and offer what I can as a city council member to give them the incentives, again, whether it's tax credits, whether it's infrastructure improvements, whether it's specific grants to do certain things like rehab houses, what we can do together, the private sector, the public sector, together in partnerships to rehabilitate homes and bring businesses, particularly to the downtown area.